Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Everett No Shorty. It's snowing, I'm cold, and I'm going to review. Here we go. Dawn of DC, Adventures of Superman, John Kent, Road to Injustice. Now, we'll get into why that title is a pain in the butt, but for now, we're going to talk about Tom Taylor himself, who's a great writer. Love him. Really enjoyed his last Superman run. His run on Nightwing was getting all the plaudits he deserves. He was like in top bestseller lists for very good reasons. And as much as I say I do like him, he's not the best writer in the world. He is not exactly up there with your Moores and your Morrisons, but also he doesn't have the lyrical poetry quality of your Ram V's, your sharp, cutting look at storytelling that Kieran Gillen will do, or even your revolutionary zeal and uplifting rhetoric that we get from Simon Spurrier. But he's good. And one of the reasons he's good is he knows his audience, he knows who he's writing for, and he knows the form. He is clearly a fan of comic books, and he knows what people expect from them. I have heard criticism from other people, including customers in the shop and online, that say he's writing for Twitter. And I've pushed back on that a little bit, because I have thoroughly enjoyed his comic books, and I think it's a little bit demeaning, a little bit simplistic to say that that's all he's doing. But also, there are times when, yeah, you are going to see stuff where it is just a one little pithy line which works brilliantly without context, just to share and go, look, this is a fun thing a comic book writer did. There's one particular moment in this book where it was the idea that when John L. meets Val Zod, they don't get into a fight, and Val's a little bit like, oh, you know, sometimes this happens. And John is very much like, no, this is a ridiculous concept. The idea that two superheroes meet up with each other due to mistaken identity and not actually talking to each other, get in a fight. It is beneath us. And he's right, it is. It is a genuinely terrible plot point. It bugs me whenever I see it in comic books. It happened recently in, I think, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And it was just like, why would one of you attack the other group? You don't know that they're bad guys, and all you're doing by attacking them is making the group think you're bad guys. It is terrible, and it just makes things worse, and it's not good writing. Pulling that point out and making it funny, like he writes it really quite well, that's a great thing to take a photo of and stick it on Twitter, and people go, oh yeah, that's a good point, I like this. But it doesn't really add much to the overarching story. It is literally just a throwaway line. There's a couple of other bits like that. And sometimes when I do take photos of stuff and share them on Twitter, there is context to them. There is like multiple panels and box art bits of text so you can see the rise and fall of the dialogue being used. Or without much context but knowing which comic book it's from, you can see why I've shared that particular moment. This is just 'cause it's a cool thing to put on Twitter. It doesn't really add anything, like I say, to the overarching plot of this story. Now the plot of the story basically seems to be, yes, here we go again, Dawn of DC, yeah, and Road to Injustice. Yeah, now the Dawn of DC thing I've not been following too much. I'm reading some of the Superman stuff because I like Superman as a character, but I'm afraid Injustice, it's probably that thing that you know Tom Taylor for, before he did Nightwing and Superman, the thing you'll have known Tom Taylor for. It was one of the few examples at the time of a comic book adaptation of a video game, which actually worked, and it was fun. But I don't care about Injustice, and I'm not trying to like be all high-horsey here and be like, oh gosh, yes, adaptations of one means another. It is not worth the time of doing it all. It's honestly that I know people who are really into beat-em-up computer games, and they will often come to me jokingly telling me about the ridiculous writing that people put into them to give them a sense of narrative plot and how ridiculous it is. And I just can't get my head around this idea of like, yeah, Injustice, all these cool super characters and villains, and there has to be a reason why Superman doesn't just, you know, win everything because he's Superman. Even taking into account like planning and intelligence, and I know all the kind of arguments about why some people can beat him and some people can't, but Joker against Superman is not a competition, and I don't care how you're going to frame it. It just doesn't interest me. Just have a beat him up. It's fine. No argument there. This comic book building up to an event within an event or that kind of theme, it just doesn't do anything for me, and it's frustrating because there is some good writing. Tom Taylor does the stuff I like. He has family drama in interesting ways which aren't just soap opera-esque. He has problems with John Kent and his boyfriend, which are real interesting and funny because there's a dryness to it, and you can kind of see a little bit of frustration creeping into the relationship, which is nice. He's building on stuff he's done before. Throw in all that nice stuff with really good artwork. I mean, genuinely good artwork. I've forgotten the guy's name. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to double check this. Clay and Henry. He's got a knack for faces, like this nice close-ups where you just see a set to the eyes, a slight upraising of one eyebrow or at the side of a cheek. You get a sense of personality and emotion really quickly and really strongly through his artwork. He's a little bit wasted on the action sequence we get, which is effectively just some satellites falling to Earth and John Kent has to go and deal with them, which is not as an exciting visual spectacle to have over several pages of comic book. And I feel like he's doing his best with it, and there's some interesting choices in colouring and layouts, which at least are captivating. But honestly, it's not what he should be doing. his character design is fantastic, and his non-verbal communication is beautiful. I feel like this entire comic book is a lesson in taking people who can do good things and having them do something which isn't worth doing. It feels so tie-in heavy. It feels so, if you want to get the full experience, you've got to go and buy all these extra things, and if you're not going to do all that, it's going to be wasted on you, and I don't like that as a thing which comic books do. I spent years avoiding events, but then Kieran Gill and Simon Spurrier and Al Ewing did an X-Men one, and I'm in, and I don't like it. Well, no, I love it, but I don't like that in it. But it doesn't have that to it. It doesn't have the weight behind it. It doesn't have the quality of creators, unfortunately. And the things that they're good at are wasted on this type of storytelling. I hope Tom Taylor gets a chance to go back to John Kent and actually do a big, long, ongoing and build up this character a bit more. But at the moment, this kind of spectacle, it's too thin and it's a waste, and I'm sorry about that, but I'll not be adding it to my pull list. That's it from me for now, though. I've gone a little bit over. I do apologise. I will hopefully do another review for the rest of the week, but I make no promises. I might not even come in for some days this week because the snow is quite bad here. Until I see you all again, especially if you're around these parts, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!